Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second complaints podcast. We did one of these, a similar one of these last year. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us today. My name is Nick Paul. I am the Head of Performance and Insight here at Curo, and I am responsible for the Customer Resolution team who are joining us today. So let's do some introductions. Who have we got? We've got Joanna. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name's Joanna Scott, so I'm Customer Resolution Manager at Curo. So working with the Customer Resolution team to manage customer complaints and improve service for our customers.
Thank you very much. Okay, we also have Amy, who is our Senior Customer Resolution Advisor. Amy, you okay today?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Brilliant, excellent. And we also have a relative newbie as well. So Kirsty, you joined us in April. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Great, excellent. Okay, so the idea with today is that we are going to share some of our sort of knowledge and wisdom around complaint management. Talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we've got lined up and some of the things that we're seeing in terms of the complaints that we're receiving. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about why we love doing what we do. There's definitely some upsides to complaint management, and we want to sort of share that with you. Ladies, where should we start in terms of the conversation? Should we start with a discussion around the principles around how we tackle complaint management? Amy, what's your sort of approach when you're looking to try and resolve an issue for a customer?
So I think the most important thing that we do is we listen to what the customer has to say, to understand exactly what's gone wrong. So we're not just listening just to, respond to them. We actually want to, ask questions to get in depth into what's gone wrong, or, have we done something we shouldn't, or done something we should have done, we've not done it right. It's really important to them. It's, it's their home, it's where they live, and it's really impacting them. So that's the best thing to do. So listen to them, understand what's happened and what's gone wrong, and then agree with them what the next steps are going to be. So, we're going to do our investigation now. We're going to, look to put this right. So commit to timescales, what we're going to do, who we're going to speak to, and when, they're going to kind of hear back from us again. And then we will look to deliver on that investigation and that resolution. So get back in touch with them, let them know what we found, align that with their understanding of the situation, and then come to an agreement. And then, put it through. So that might be getting a repair done. It might be getting an apology from, a manager or something like that. But make sure that actually happens, and then check back in with the customer that they're happy that we've delivered that resolution. Hopefully they've got, a better relationship with Curo once we've been able to, kind of hold our hands up and apologise.
Yeah, that's perfect. I wonder, that initial stage where we're listening and understanding, it's really easy to, prejudge the situation and almost jump to conclusions. Is that a challenge, or do you have a process from which you go through that?
I try and be pretty open-minded. It's not as exciting, I imagine, as being a judge on a court, but I try and think, okay, innocent until proven guilty, that kind of thing. So try and understand that, not be defensive. We're all human. We make mistakes. We're an organisation. There's a lot of colleagues here. It could be we've done something wrong. So don't just initially assume that you're going to kind of be jumping to your defences and going, oh, we will never do that, because that's not necessarily the case. So I think the most important thing is to keep an open mind and ask those questions. Once you've understood as much as you can from the customer, it's then time for us to kind of dive into the history of things on our side, on our computer systems, to see if that matches up with what the customer's saying has happened. So I do try and just keep a very open mind until I've gathered all the facts, and then make my decision, based on my findings.
Cool. Okay, Kirsty, does that resonate with you? Do you, what's your approach to these types of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. So my approach is to put myself in the customer's shoes and try to understand maybe how I would feel in that position. And obviously just helps you to empathize with them and sort of realize what they're going through. And to them, it's an issue, it's a problem that really does need to be resolved. And I think we just try to keep an open mind, and like Amy said, just innocent until proven guilty, I guess. Like we have made a mistake potentially, and we just need to investigate and see what has gone wrong there.
Yeah, good points. Okay. So I suppose what we probably need to do is start talking about some of the trends that we're starting to see in the cases. Obviously, we are in unprecedented times. COVID-19 or coronavirus is certainly having an impact in a number of ways, including on our operations and the way that we're able to deliver our services. So, there's likely to be some consequences as a result of that in terms of the complaints that we receive. Joanna, I know that you're only 6 weeks into working here at Curo, but what have you seen in terms of the information that's coming through and the feedback that we're receiving?
Yeah, so it has only been 6 weeks, but it's been sort of a really sort of good start, really informative. I've done sort of lots of reading and digging into what kind of complaints we're seeing and what the themes are. So naturally, the situation as things are now with coronavirus clearly has had quite an impact in many ways. We've seen sort of service delays have been a bit of an issue, and that does come down to lots of different elements, but naturally a lot of our sort of external contractors have been furloughed and they've started to return, but some of them may not be back up to kind of full sort of speed and capacity. So that's kind of caused us to slow down a little bit in our response times, but that is seeming to start to improve now that things are starting to move along. So that's a really positive step forward, and we will sort of encourage that to continue. Something else that we've seen as a bit of a trend in our complaints has been the quality of work. So sometimes the standard of perhaps a repair or just some of the work that we're doing hasn't been quite up to scratch. So it may require us to sort of reattend and just tidy up, or just give it another go to get it completely finished.
Okay.
So again, that could sort of feed into that feeling of service delay for our customers.
Yeah, I guess there's quite a lot of pressure on our trades colleagues, and contractors to try and do a really good job in that moment, particularly when there's quite a lot of other stresses and pressure coming from elsewhere as well at the same time. So
absolutely.
Inevitably, that's probably going to have an impact. So yeah, absolutely. Amy, have you seen anything else on top of that in recent complaints that we've received?
We unpleasantly are dealing with quite a lot of vermin cases actually at the moment. So because of lockdown, when kind of eateries and things were closed and everyone was staying at home, it has kind of increased the amount of vermin around, because they were looking for food and things like that. So they were becoming a bit more bold, and they have actually ended up going into quite a lot of properties, which, as you can imagine, is really unpleasant for customers. So since I would say April time, we have seen a trend increasing of cases with rats, with mice, those kind of infestations where they're getting into homes because they're looking for food sources. So that's something that we've found to be a real big challenge, because generally a matter inside somebody's home, we would ask them to look at that, but we're also very aware that this is not being caused by a customer not doing something right. It's absolutely not their fault that this has happened. So we've really had to kind of step up and take some ownership there to try and support residents in getting rid of those vermin. So we've been working with contractors to do pest elimination cycles and kind of knockdown visits and things like that, and get people's homes back to the way that they should be. So hopefully, as things continue to reopen, we're hopefully going to see a drop off in those cases. But yeah, that's something that we've really not had to deal with in the past, which has really come forward in these last few months, which has been quite unpleasant.
It's been really a really interesting time, really difficult time for many of us, but interesting in that we have obviously had to adjust our services and the way that we deliver them to kind of take into account all of these sort of new scenarios and the new environment that we operate in. So I've actually been really pleased and I'm proud of the organisation in the way that it was able to adapt. So yeah, whilst there's things here that obviously, you know, we wish or that we were not giving our customers that experience, ultimately, I've actually been really pleasantly surprised by the fact that we have been able to manage the work that we've been able to do quite as well as we have. So the next thing that I want to talk to everybody about was about the Complaints Review Forum. So for you guys listening out there, the Complaints Review Forum are a group of residents that take their time to come and help us to learn and to improve our complaints process. And I know, Joanna, you joined the group for the first time. I think it was in your first week of joining us as well. Yeah. So that was it was a great experience, a great start to your time here. Share a little bit of your thoughts around that group and why other people should think about getting involved.
Of course, yeah. So it is one of the first things that I did in my first week here, and I was so kind of pleasantly surprised at sort of how smooth it went, how well it went. So I suppose my first sort of reservations of having a direct conversation with residents about complaints was that it really kind of gives that open forum for some complete, direct honesty and maybe some home truths. But actually, it was such a productive and constructive session. Our residents, they really seem to really enjoy looking at detail in some of the cases that we've sort of handled over the last few months, and really took quite an objective look at what happened and gave us some really good feedback into kind of maybe what we missed, what we could have done better. And for me, taking that away, that learning, which is directly from tenants and, our residents who are possibly even living in the same areas as some of our complainants, it was really good to have that sort of first-hand experience and insight into exactly how that feels. So yeah, really loved it. I think it's a great forum for us to kind of learn directly from our residents, but also for anyone to, come along and just provide that really open, honest feedback.
Yeah, I think obviously I hope they're listening today, but a massive thank you to those guys that have been involved either most recently or in the past, because yeah, like you say, they really help us to learn and understand how we can get better at what we do, and that feedback's really useful. And actually talking about some of that feedback, we've actually taken that into a series of improvements that we're currently in the midst of delivering at the moment. Amy, do you want to just give us a quick run through of the things that we're looking at delivering over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so over the last couple of months during lockdown, we've taken the time to look at what the customers have said. So use that customer review forum feedback as well as our understanding as the colleagues who kind of manage the cases, and we've used that to update our policies and procedures and also our processes. So the way that we manage cases internally, what we're looking at, the first stage of our 3-stage process is called resolution first, and what we've done is we've updated that to give colleagues more opportunity basically to get a quicker resolution for customers at that first stage. So we were having colleagues try and get that resolution within a day, but sometimes that meant that time pressure didn't actually get the best result for the customer because they were trying to kind of rush to get those answers and maybe couldn't do as in-depth a look into what was happening as they were hoping. So what we've actually done is we've now given them 3 days to look to do this. And the idea is that, if you tell you know, a Curo colleague that you've got an issue, that you've got a complaint, you know, they should take the next 3 days to really look into what's happened there and look to come back to you with a resolution. So we're hoping this change in our process is going to mean a quicker resolution for customers, and also to give colleagues that time to understand what's gone wrong. So linking back to what Joanna was saying about, you know, learning what's happened and things like that, we're hoping that will kind of come through as well in that change in process. And one of the other things that we're looking at is when things can't be resolved, you know, within those 3 days with that first colleague, it will then come to our team, to customer resolution, to look at, and we're going to be kind of assessing that. So understanding, is it a more kind of complex case and things like that, you know, the customer need is, and you know, what needs to be done to put things right. So we'll take a little bit more time. Again, we'll take a week and look into what's happened there so that we can, you know, really get to the bottom of it and understand where things have gone wrong. So that's part of that plan. And then we've also kind of created a fast track for policy complaints. So the idea is that they're going to be going straight to the head of service. So if you make a complaint about, I don't know, lettings or repairs, the idea is it will go straight to their head of service if it's about policy, and that way we're hoping to affect, you know, real change. So it's going to go straight to the person who's that decision maker. So, you know, I'm going to be getting lots of policy complaints about the same thing. The idea is they go straight to that head of service, and that head of service can kind of mull it over and go, okay, this is, you know, we've had 4 or 5 complaints about this same policy. Do we need to change it? You know, the idea is that we need to be challenging our own thinking, and the idea is using that fast track, we can do that hopefully much easier. But also it will get, again, a quicker answer for the customer. You're going straight to the source, and if there's a reason we have to have that policy in place, they're at least going to get a quicker answer from that head of service to explain why that policy does need to be where it is.
Yeah,
so yeah,
we've done lots to try and speed up the process, haven't we? And I think that's
Yeah.
those 2 or 3 that you said in particular are all about us trying to get quicker at resolution. And I think that's, from what the feedback that we've had from our customers, is really important. So I think, yeah, we need to absolutely do more of that. Thank you for that. Joanna, you've attended a number of training sessions over the last few weeks. So do you want to talk about the training that we're delivering at the moment?
I have, yeah. So we are working with a huge number of our frontline colleagues to really equip them to be able to achieve that first time resolution. So, you know, if they come across a customer who has a complaint of any type, they have that empowerment and ownership to take that complaint on, address it, and work within that 3-day window to get that resolution. So we've done lots of training to kind of equip them systems wise and also policy wise, procedures, so that they know kind of exactly what they need to do when they receive that complaint and work to get that resolution. We've had really positive feedback. Lots of our colleagues, they are completely on board. They really understand that need to answer that complaint or that query quicker, and you know, it's an all-round better outcome for our customers to do that. So it's been really nice to be involved in those sessions and have those conversations and really see and feel that our colleagues are on board with it.
Yeah. Kirsty, do you want to talk about the new process or the new approach that we're taking to risk?
Yeah, so we're doing, with new cases, we're doing a risk assessment. So we are assessing obviously the level of risk to each complaint, and seeing just what needs sort of urgent attention from perhaps our manager, so customer resolution manager Joanna, or head of service. So where before we would just receive the complaint, and in the customer resolution team we would all deal with it, we're now sort of rating them or ranking them on the seriousness, just to make sure that we can take action as soon as possible, really, and the best action that we can take for each complaint.
Yeah, I think previously we've treated every case like it's the same, but obviously every case is different. And I think the appreciation that we need to understand, as we said, as Amy said, we need to understand what's happening with each individual case, and then treat those cases on their merit. So if we have got something that's high impact or a high risk on a individual, then we need to treat that with some urgency. That doesn't mean that they're any more or less important than some of the others, but it's just a case of that sometimes we need to take more urgent intervention action to try and reduce the impact on those people that are involved. So yeah, we absolutely need to take that forward. One of the other things that hopefully some of our listeners have taken the opportunity to do is use the new functionality on my Curo. So we've just released the Track My Case option on the portal, which allows customers to register complaints, but also get regular updates as we progress each case. So much more easier, much more convenient for them, rather than feeling like they have to wait for contact from us or to ring in to get any further updates as well. So much quicker, much simpler, much more convenient, and a great addition to the various different things that we've got on my Curo. So if guys aren't signed up to my Curo yet, definitely encourage you to get involved on there. So I suppose the final thing that I really wanted for us to share with the people that are listening today is why we do what we do. You know, most people probably think about complaints as being you know, quite a negative and a difficult job, which, you know, it is quite hard to do these things, but there's definitely things that we can love and we can really enjoy as well. So I think it's important that we take the time to celebrate the positives in what we do as well, isn't it, Amy? What do you get from your role and what you do?
So my favourite bit of my role is the investigation stage. So like Nick says, it's not particularly, you know, always an easy job, but I like to, you know, put my deer stalker hat on, pretend I'm Sherlock Holmes, and, you know, do a timeline of events, try and get to the bottom of, you know, where something has gone wrong, and put all the kind of puzzle pieces together. That's something that I really get enjoyment of. And then once I've done that and can, you know, go back to a customer and explain everything that's happened and the why it's happened and what we're now going to do to put that right and resolve the matter, that's the best bit for me. I really enjoy doing that. And then the hope is that we agree that resolution, we deliver it, and then we have a customer who is much happier than they were at the start, thanks to yeah, all the digging. Sorry, that was really nerdy of me to say.
Oh, I think it's exactly that, isn't it? It's the detective element, isn't it? It's getting underneath it and learning what's happening. Kirsty, what about you?
So I really enjoy the fact that I can make a difference. So by the time the complaint reaches our team, it's normally because it hasn't been resolved or the customer is not happy with the resolution, and the fact that we have the chance to sort of dig a little bit deeper, we've got a bit more time to sort of investigate and see what's gone wrong. So I really enjoy sort of finding that root cause and actually working out what we can do to finally resolve this complaint. And I think hearing the customer's relief sort of at the end, once we have finally resolved it and they're happy, and just sort of turning their opinion around, I find that really fulfilling.
Yeah, that's the bit for me, is that when you know you've done a good job is when you know you've left that person in a much better position than when you started. So yeah, I completely feel that, and it's probably the main reason why I'm involved as much as I am today, because I think you know, you obviously start from a very sad place in some of these cases, and you know, it's very much the fact that when we can turn people's situations around, and sometimes certainly the feedback that I've seen, sometimes we've turned people's lives around. That's the heartwarming bit for sure. Joanna, how about you for yourself? Obviously, customer resolution manager, you oversee the full process. So why do you love doing what you do?
Yeah, so I'm in complete agreement that sort of having that customer who has been turned around, who has sort of received that positive outcome at the end, that's kind of the overall goal. But the other part of the process that I really love, and is slightly more internal, is just around sort of following on from what Kirsty said, finding that root cause, identifying those areas where we have maybe been at fault or we have failed to deliver something, and working with other teams in the business to kind of improve. So trying to ensure that we don't make the same mistakes again. And I can certainly say from some of the cases that I've handled since I've joined the team, I've really experienced a good sense of teamwork from colleagues across the business, sort of pulling together, looking at what's gone wrong and turning that around. And yeah, I really look forward to doing much more work on that, working with those colleagues to learn from our mistakes and move forward and just continually improve our service, really.
Yeah, I think that's probably the number one thing that we've struggled for to really nail down and excel in, is that identification of exactly what we need to change to stop those mistakes from happening again. But you know, that's what we need to really be focusing on over the next year and into the future, is to try and reduce those mistakes that we're making. So yeah, absolutely right. Okay, well, I feel like we've exhausted ourselves and everything that we've got to share for now. It's been a great chat. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to the next time that we get to talk about complaints. So thank you for listening, and hopefully we will deliver another one of these shortly. Bye for now.